Guru Nation, welcome to another episode of Random Musings from the Clinical Trials Guru, coming to you now every day, regularly, like a train schedule. I don't know if they still operate. I don't know if they're even consistent, but whatever is consistent, that's regular, we come at you, alright? I've got Chris Hopper. How's it going?
No.
I've got Salvador Solis. He's big time biz dev guy right now for a phase 1 unit. Why don't you introduce yourself, Salvador? Who are you? What do you do? And then we'll get into your origin stories. Your Marvel superhero.
I just came from Comic-Con, so that's really...
Really?
Yeah.
Same place that where DIA was, right?
Exactly.
Is that bigger? Or same size?
Oh, it's got to be 10 times the size.
10 times the size of DIA. DIA was huge.
Yeah, it was huge, but not as big as
Wow, imagine that. 10 times DIA
Crazy
in the same
too.
place.
It's crazy people running around, right?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Wow. So anyways, we met at DIA. I was just walking around. Salvador recognized me and said, hey man, we need to meet up. So we're meeting up at our San Bernardino site right now, discussing business, because he's doing biz dev. You're doing a great job of biz dev, by the way.
Thank you.
We're going to get all kinds of stuff going on. So yeah, give us your origin story.
So my origin story in research.
Even before, people, look, we have, of course, a lot of people in the industry watch. I mean, this is clinical research. But there's a lot of people that are not in yet, but are
Not in
interested.
yet.
Right? Like you were 7 years ago, 6 years? I don't know. I don't know your origin story, so I'm curious also.
How did you get in?
How did I get in?
Yes, who are you? Who are you, Salvador?
Who am I? All right, well, I actually have been kind of in the marketing industry for about 7 years now.
Okay.
I worked after 2012. I worked a couple of marketing roles, marketing manager, director, mostly for companies that were doing e-commerce.
Okay.
Some of them wanted to go from B2B sales. They were selling direct to department stores and big.
Here in Orange County?
Yeah.
So you grew up in Orange County?
Yep.
Where'd you go to high school?
Anaheim High School.
Okay. You know Gwen Stefani went there.
She did. My sister would never.
Is that off Ball Road?
Lincoln.
No, yeah, Lincoln Avenue. Lincoln Avenue.
It's next to that big church.
St. Boniface.
Yep.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So
did you go there with her?
with Gwen Stefani?
Yeah, I'm trying to
No,
date you now. You're not. You're younger than me.
Gwen Stefani's probably about 10, 15 years older than me.
Yeah, she's older than I am too. Yeah. No, okay, never mind. My bad. You look like you're in your late 20s.
That is true.
That's
I'm in
accurate,
my late
right?
20s. Yeah. 28. I'm not afraid to say it.
Okay, so Anaheim, born and raised, Orange County.
Yeah. Well, I was born in Santa Ana.
Okay.
Lived in Santa Ana for 9 years, then moved to Anaheim.
Man, awesome.
So yeah, I was working with some companies that were doing e-commerce, and I was managing their websites, their advertisements, their social media channels, their SEO, all the things that a company needs to do to establish a web presence.
How did you get into that? Was this after college or what?
Yeah, right after college actually. I actually studied English.
Where?
UCI, Zaza.
Oh, he's a smart guy too. It's hard, I didn't get into UCI.
Oh.
I didn't get into any UCs. I had to go to Arizona.
Man.
Yeah. Little known fact, or maybe not so little anymore. I've talked about that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't know where it's
Yeah.
Did you do the SAT 2s?
I did all the SATs, and the SATs were not the problem. It was my grades, like the GPA in high school. I went to Lisa Miguel in the
Okay.
freshman year. I was in LA, Santa Monica, and then we moved to Orange County.
It's funny, man, because C's get degrees, and
C's get degrees. That's right. That's my bio, I guess. My origin story. So UCI, smart guy, English.
yeah,
Nothing science related at all.
nothing science related. Even though
That's important.
UCI is a big school for biology and medicine, obviously.
Of course.
So I was a writer. That's what I say is I'm a writer by training. And the first gig I got was called a technical writer. and I was really just doing blogs and articles for a website, and I was writing, product descriptions and brochures.
Wow, okay.
It's this company that manufactures rubber products. So either rubber products that are put inside machines or snow, street sweeping,
Okay.
vehicles or snow cleaning vehicles.
So very much B2B.
Yeah. They were doing B2B mostly on the industrial side of things. They were doing B2C with their flooring products. So they were also working with gyms, and then people that wanted to do home gyms or maybe restaurants, small restaurants,
Yeah.
and they do floors for the restaurants. So that was my first job. I was a writer,
Wow.
yeah,
Must have been a good one.
I hope so.
So, how did you go from that to research? Like, how do you even discover research?
Well, 2.5 years passed by, and I continued to take on other marketing roles, and I just put it. I responded to a Craigslist ad. Nobody will believe me.
Really?
Well, especially in the day and age of LinkedIn
Yes.
and headhunters and
Yes.
Indeed and Monster.com. No one ever looks at Craigslist for anything but here's a.
But they're there.
They're there. Yeah.
And what year was this, just so we have context?
2000, early 2015. It must have been February
Okay.
2015.
So LinkedIn was alive and well at that time. It's had a huge renaissance like the last few years.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So I got my job. I got the interview through just responding to a Craigslist ad.
Wow.
To come interview at a company called WCCT Global, which the WCCT stands for West Coast Clinical Trials.
That's right.
And what WCCT needed was kind of the multifaceted person, somebody to, again, manage their web presence, so the website, their social channels, advertising, but additionally, all of those properties were used to identify potential participants for research. Right, so WCCT is primarily our work is in phase one. We own a phase one facility in Cypress, California,
Right.
and so I would say we do something in the neighborhood of 50 phase one projects a year.
Wow.
A bit of our business is in more like CRO type work.
Yes. Are you guys still doing that?
Just a bit.
Just a bit.
Just a bit.
So it's heavily focused now on phase one.
Correct. Yeah.
And you
Phase
guys are
one
one of the
is
most dominant phase one companies in the world.
we like to think so.
I mean, can you tell people, there's people there with pipe dreams. I used to be one. They just want to do phase one studies. They own sites.
Mhm.
We're dealing with one right now. He won't stop talking about this, right? Not Chris. I'm talking about the guy who's asking us
Mhm.
constantly. How do I start a phase one? And I'm not one to
I don't like
crush.
phase one study.
Yes, I'm not one to crush your dreams, but it's very tough to compete. Can you tell them, give them some context as to how unlikely it is to happen for someone with no experience? Let's say they have a phase 2 through 4 clinic
Right.
to start doing phase one. Healthy volunteer.
Yeah. Well,
Not saying it's impossible, but it's not practical, right?
I mean, especially when you're seeing and treating patients, it's a much different story. You're not on. I like to say you're not on a time point necessarily, and there's nothing but time points in phase one.
Mhm.
Every, a blood draw every 30 seconds or every 5 minutes. Eat your food within 30 minutes. When's your first bite? When's your last bite? What percentage of your food did you eat? I mean, everything. When a volunteer uses a restroom, when they shower,
It's unbelievable what they ask.
it's all in the name of creating a very controlled environment, right? We want to remove as much variation as possible, and that's why even though it's phase one and usually it's normal healthy volunteers, I mean the exclusion criteria is just as long as any other protocol.
Yeah. Speaking of superheroes, you almost need to be like a superhero to qualify for one of these studies.
I wonder if Thor would qualify. I know definitely
Streetfeld.
He drinks a lot of beer.
he
Yeah.
does.
The last Thor wouldn't qualify. that's
I
for
know
sure.
that Wolverine wouldn't qualify
He's all
because
jacked up.
well he's all
Yeah.
jacked up, but yeah, his BMI is too high because he's like 5'3", but he weighs like 300
That's
pounds.
all metal inside of him.
Exactly. So he'd be excluded.
So, does WCCT focus more on the CRO side of Phase 1 trials or site side?
Yeah, definitely on the site side
On the
because
site side.
because we own a physical location. It's a 180 bed clinical pharmacology unit. That is our main focus is the staff to support all of the operations that take place there.
So you're probably not wanting to give any hints on how to get it as a site, a Phase 1 trial, and that's understandable. But could you tell us how many sites are, on average, and I know that there's variables here, on average, how many sites are selected for a typical Phase 1 trial?
Well, I mean, we like to take the entirety of it. Phase 1, I mean, how many volunteers are you going to need? Maybe 200 at the very, very high end. I mean, that's what I
Usually
high,
like
yeah.
80, right? 50, 60,
Right.
70, 80, somewhere
It's
in there.
usually sub 100. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that instance, you don't really need more than one.
Mhm.
That bears repeating because these people think they can just start Phase 1 units. Like, you can. You got to develop if you want to do that, the best way to do it is run a Phase 2 through 4 clinic for like 5 years, develop relationships like crazy with all the medical liaisons, all the senior operations people, go to DA, go to bio, go to all these conferences, meet, network, and then you can do it. But you can just do it like right away. within
Right,
the first
and I
few
mean, you have to develop the infrastructure within your company or your location. One of the big things is that 24-hour kind of surveillance or longer than that.
Yeah.
It doesn't end. Sometimes I've seen volunteers stay at our facility for 35 days straight.
And they need 24-hour MD oversight? always?
Not
It's not MD
they don't
oversight?
necessarily need the MD oversight. I mean, we always have an MD on call if they're not
Mhm.
physically on there. Usually we bring in like a charge nurse or something like that. But someone that's obviously
Medical
highly
qualified.
trained to provide that continuous oversight. And then you definitely want your MDs or principal investigators there when you're doing anything, any dosing or
Substantial.
difficult procedures.
Mhm.
So I think there's a big investment and it's a big, kind of business change to go from, running the clinic and you're seeing your patients and you're working your, 9 to 5.
Doing your later phase trials maybe.
Right. From that to I've got 12 people that are not going to leave for 7 to 10 days.
Right. Now back to the origin story.
Oh, yeah.
So you had the interview. You had no experience in research.
Correct. No
And
experience.
So what were the questions? What were they asking you? And what was the role you applied for?
So the title of the role was marketing project manager. So I wasn't managing people, I was just managing projects.
Okay.
I mean, the questions were very geared towards marketing, using marketing tools, right? So my understanding of search engine optimization and social media marketing, and
So trying to get patients, basically.
yeah, using those tools, digital tools, to recruit volunteers.
Go figure. What we see all the time.
Mhm.
No experience in research, and you want some. Patient recruitment's like the answer almost all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to.
To gain experience at least.
So how long did you do that? And then what? Where did your career go from there?
So I'm still, I got hired at WCCT,
Yeah.
and I'm still here at
Yeah.
WCCT. So it's been about 4.5 years now.
Yeah.
Very happy.
You're a veteran now.
Yeah, I feel like it. So I was running WCCT's web presence for maybe 2.5, 3 years,
Wow.
and the role kind of evolved over time to not just focusing on the volunteer side of things, but also the corporate, the industry-facing materials. So webinars and
Wow.
coordinating our appearances at conferences, like
So you came up with
yeah,
strategies for that?
correct.
Wow, that's Big time.
try to get us ranking for certain keywords
Yeah.
that we would want to rank for, because that would lead potential sponsors to our website to see more information.
More
Wow.
projects.
How did you get, like, because we do webinars. We were doing webinars every month
Right.
for like 13 months, maybe even longer.
What, we're not doing one this month?
We haven't done one in the last 2 months because we've been
13
so
months a
busy.
year.
Yeah, like the last we've done 13 webinars in a row every month. The last 2 months because of DIA and just it's been crazy. So we took a 2-month break. We're gonna start again in
You
August.
deserved it.
But like the topics are hard to come up with. How did you how often did you do webinars?
Webinars were kind of big deals for us.
Yeah.
And
For B2B, right?
right.
Yeah.
And we used to do some volunteer facing webinars
Okay.
in maybe like early 2015,
Okay.
late 2014, prior to my coming on. But
Yeah.
I used to see the older materials.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were for B2B. And like I said, bigger deals for us, so we didn't do them all that frequently. They were bigger deals, they were bigger investments for us. Required a lot of research and time from our KOLs or our operational folks that are up top. We liked to take our time developing the content and interviewing other experts and our partners, see what their thoughts were before we actually put something out there. So we really just focused on what we were good at, and as I mentioned, WCCT is really laser focused on the phase 1 work right now. So we keep it around phase 1, maybe some specialty areas. So WCCT does have a couple of niche service offerings. Vaccine trials, or vaccine and viral challenge trials, ethnic bridging.
It's a big one. We were
Yeah.
actually talking about a few of these smaller projects earlier off camera. So what is your role the same now? Are you doing like biz dev? What does that actually mean? Like,
Yeah,
what does
so
that mean?
for a while I was kind of in this transitionary position where I was still doing marketing for the company, but I was also doing something called client relations. And because we have a physical location, yet we had representatives, regionally based, there would be times where we'd have clients come to visit the facility, whether it be for conduct their quality audit, or they were sending monitors or whatever.
And by clients you mean sponsors?
Correct.
Yeah.
And we just wanted a kind of client-facing person on site all the time.
So that's
So that was me for a while.
Wow.
So I was balancing between.
How was that?
It was fun. I got to interact with a lot of people.
A lot of sponsors are pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
That's what I've engaged with some. I'm a contract CRA for another small CRO, and actually we're thinking of doing some business together. But I'm surprised. Like when you're a CRA, you're like kind of intimidated when you hear sponsor will join you. But maybe I just lucked out. But they've been like so cool. Like was that your experience also, or did you have some tough ones?
I can't ever say I had a tough one. I've enjoyed all of my interactions. Truly.
See?
Just because I enjoy people.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in that kind of that blended role for a while, and we decided as a moving to different areas or having different focus, and I mean specifically our business development personnel.
Yeah.
Either they moved away from the Southern California area, but they were still working with us, or maybe they were focused on a certain subset of sponsors. That kind of left WCCT with a vacancy of a dedicated person in the Southwest.
I see.
So because I've been talking about WCCT for 3.5 years at that point, through writing for our website, putting together our brochures, our webinars, interviewing our KOLs, they said, well, you've been talking about us to people through a screen for such a long time. Why don't you just talk about us to people in
Face to
person?
face.
Yeah.
What's let me see, the actual title, his title.
Where's his title? Manager Business Development.
That's right. Manager business
So
development.
now you're running, I mean, you're doing biz dev. Are you still doing just the Southwest region, or are you doing biz dev for the whole company now?
Yes. So since we still have other sales representatives in other parts of the country, they focus on those regions,
I
and
see.
I focus on the Southwest.
Southwest. So you're looking to get in touch with like early stage biotechs here in SoCal, and there's a lot of them now.
Yeah.
Irvine has tons. We're gonna try to get some at our meetup.
Right.
I'm telling you. Like Dr. Hazen's one of them. So you're looking for people like that, basically.
Yeah.
See, you've got to come. Do I have it on camera? You're gonna be presenting.
Yes.
See, we got him.
Put me on the spot.
Link to the event will be underneath the video. Link to Salvador's LinkedIn profile will be underneath. An inspirational story because you came from like no research background and now you're like running things here at WCCT. At least on the region. You're young, you know. When you're in your late 30s, you might be running more than that, right? So there's so many opportunities in this industry. I don't think people understand. I think people just think CRA or coordinator and that's it, you know. But I mean, you rarely have interactions with patients, right? Or the source documents.
Correct.
I mean, and
I've seen them.
He's seen them. His entire career around that.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to it. You guys got to dig deeper. Get the book, Comprehensive Guide to Clinical Research. We show you where to dig deeper. Anything you want to ask?
Did a good job.
You got a biz dev guy here from phase 1 unit. You can ask anything in the world.
Well, I don't want to put him on the spot. The only things I can think of that would be of interest to the audience would be how they get a phase 1 study. And he doesn't want to show.
He says
doesn't want
it's
to show that.
impossible.
No, he doesn't. But
I'll tell
I didn't say it was impossible.
It's not impossible.
I mean, what I would say is show that you can
You have
get
capabilities.
the volunteers in quick. I mean, if that it's all about time. That's
Sure.
no secret. Time
Sure.
is money in the industry, and especially sometimes we see phase 1 after a phase 3 study's already happened. They're just doing something different with it,
Mhm.
right? So time is money. Get the volunteers in quick.
But it's kind of hard to demonstrate that when you have yet to do one, right?
That's
The
true.
problem.
Then the other thing I would say is you're gonna have to demonstrate your ability to meet those time points.
Maybe like Dan was saying, later phases.
The roadmap I explain is the way to do it. You prove me wrong and send me we'll interview you when you
Case
do
study.
this. Yeah, but let's say you're in Virginia and you have a phase 2 through 4 clinic, and now you want to do phase 1. See, with your phase 2 through 4, you're really just competing with other sites in your region. You want to do the phase 1, you're competing with this guy. Smile, show them who you are. You don't want to mess with this guy, right? He already knows what he's doing, right?
It's true.
That's it. Link to Salvador's LinkedIn underneath, and the event where he will be
Presenting.
presenting. It'll be low key, informal, but we'll do it. And then catch you all later. Thank you.
See you later, network.
Bye bye.